Hi, guys. I wanted to get on here and share something that the Lord spoke with me about, and He wanted me to share it with everyone. And it's called Borrowed Time, Borrowed Things. Borrowed time, borrowed things. Guys, we are on borrowed times, and everything that we have, whatever level of wealth you may have, it's all borrowed. Now, some people may say, I'm not rich, I have no wealth. But if you look at the definition of wealth, wealth is whatever you have after you have paid off all your expenses, paid your bills or whatever you have or own, that is your wealth. Okay? Whatever you have, that's your wealth. Whatever you have, even if you just have a small place with everybody sleeping in one room, those are borrowed things. But what's in my heart is borrowed time, borrowed things. Borrowed time, borrowed things. And very often, we can lose focus on why we're here. Oftentimes, people are living for what they desire. They're living to achieve goals. But they're not using this borrowed time that they have to discover their purpose. And then there's some people, once they've discovered their purpose, they become so engrossed in their purpose that it becomes an idol to them, or it becomes a god to them, where they are willing to do anything to attain it, to keep it, and to expand it. So they will risk relationships, their health, sleep, everything for that, whatever their purpose is. And so you find a lot of people, they live to achieve things in this world, for relationships, for status, and the whole time they're not realizing they're on borrowed time. We're all here on this world, on this earth, for a specific period of time. We all have an expiration date, for lack of a better term. There is a time that we all have in which we will be no more. And that time draws closer and closer with each day. It doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. We used to make assumptions that if we're young, you could pretty much say, hey, I can live to this age. You expect that you will outlive your parents. You expect that your children would outlive you. But we're finding even that in these days and these times, that's not so true. But we're on borrowed time with borrowed things. And this is why when we die, nothing can be taken. Even if someone gets buried with their things or something that is a prized possession to them, you're not taking that with you. You will leave it behind. We will leave everything behind. So therefore, what are you doing with your time? Are you just indulging yourself? Are you just chasing your dreams? Are you just satiating your sexual desires, impulses, your emotions? What are you doing with the things that you have achieved? When I say things are borrowed, everything any person on this world could ever acquire comes from God. It's made possible by God. It is not by your might. It is not by our might, our power. It's not by the fact that we went to school and we graduated from college and got degrees and masters and doctorates. None of those things are possible if God not had allowed you. That is why sometimes we see how quickly someone can go from having everything to nothing, and how quickly someone who had nothing can go to having everything. We are on borrowed time with borrowed things. And so it's important that we are being good stewards of our time and being good stewards of the things that has been attained, have been given to us and bestowed to us. Even if you do not have a lot of things, we must all focus on our purpose, whether you have a lot or little. Your spirit man is not poor. Your spirit man is not rich. Your spirit man is a soul. It's spirit. Right? You are a spiritual being. And anything that is eternal and is spiritual, wealth, poverty, means nothing. But your purpose, your God-given purpose, why you're here, is what is often left neglected. It's often left undiscovered, not because it has not been brought to our attention, but sometimes the focus is elsewhere. Very often people, if they were born in situations that is not so favorable, they tend to curse God, not realizing that you're a spiritual being and you're on borrowed time with borrowed things. Even if we look at things in the natural as this is poverty, this is sickness, this is misfortune, what is your purpose? And so therefore, often what happens in the natural and circumstances and situation keeps people from understanding their God-given purpose. And so people often live for themselves or live being very resentful and hateful. They hate God, they hate people, they hate themselves. But when you leave the world, everything is going to make sense. And when you leave the world, people often think they're just going to go into this happy place. And they think God will never put me in hell. If he puts me in hell, he's a bad God. No. You're a toxic soul. You're a toxic being. If you live on this earth doing evil, doing wicked things, and maybe you didn't do evil and wicked things, but you denied God the whole time. No, you say, I didn't deny God. I believed in God. But he created you. So he is deserving of more of you just believing in him. He created you, and everything you and I are and will ever be is because of him. So he deserved more than you just believing in him. You didn't serve him. You didn't live your life and do the things he wanted you to do. Perhaps you did things and you're doing things that you think would be nice. But the thing about it is, someone who's evil and does wicked things, that has money and resources just like you, can do the same thing you can do. Can build nice schools for others. There are people who are racist. They are hateful. But in another arena, they are sympathetic to certain people. And so they build schools, they build homes, they take care of their mother. They give water to the poor, they feed the poor, they build homes. So you see, it goes beyond more than just what you're doing, doing kind things. It's about acknowledging and doing what the Lord has told you to do, doing what God has told you to do, and serving him. We are on borrowed time with borrowed things. borrow time and borrow things. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your things? Because you're going to leave everything behind. Time will stop and you'll be in eternity. Everything that you will ever own or acquire or attain will be left behind. And you'll be in eternity as a soul. And all that is going to be a testimony and a witness, as Deuteronomy 30:19 says, I call heaven and earth as a witness against you to choose life or death. All that's going to be left behind is the records that were kept of how you lived, how you acknowledged God or did not. If you obeyed him, you did what he told you to do. And the condition of your spirit man at the time that you left this world, because time will stop and eternity will begin. What did you do with your borrowed time and your borrowed things? I encourage you to realize that God exists. He sent his son, Jesus, to die on the cross for us. We have the opportunity to know him. Some of you know him, but you don't know him. Turn to him. Turn to him. Learn what your purpose is. Surrender your life over to him. Give him your heart. Cry out to him. Stop trying to figure out why this happened, why that happened. And so that keeps you from him. I guarantee you, he'll give you the answer for everything that you've ever experienced and show you your purpose. There are many also who you've gone completely off and it's about you, and you've made yourself little gods, little g, because of your accomplishments. But you must realize that everything you have is borrowed. It does not belong to you. And if you have that in your mind, you can keep yourself humble and then be able to focus on what God has called you, your God-given purpose. What has he called you to do? My brothers and sisters, again, borrow time, borrow things. Only the Creator, God, Jesus Christ, his Son, through the power of the Holy Spirit, can lead you and direct your path.